To camera
It's about mental
and
health.
right, this is what
Anybody
part
wants
is
to go,
this?
be going with it.
Mental health.
Yeah, I've got three.
Okay, Luke Sennett interview part 4.
Okay, Mr. Sinet, do you see any relation between being a self-identified gay man and gender-based violence and access to HIV healthcare? That is to say, like, would gay men have more experience or more threat to experiences based on violence, and that being a problematic in accessing healthcare?
For gay men, the experiences of gender-based violence comes when persons don't want to accept you as fully in society. And like, I don't necessarily see that as barriers to access, but more so when you have to go into the health center to get a HIV test, just to start with, if you believe that the people there are not going to be treating you well, and there is that perception that healthcare workers, particularly in clinics, are not the kindest, then you first don't want to go in there to something that's very intimate or private as an HIV test. But then even when you get there, it is almost like you are waiting around for that to be confirmed. And so the minute that somebody treats you a particular way, it's like, oh yeah, you see, I knew it. And then it might mean that you will not come back to that same place or another place where you think you would be discriminated against.
And what about
Go behind the camera, so I keep watching you in my eyes. Right, go ahead.
What about it has often been reported that the MSM have a higher predisposition towards depression, perhaps alcoholism, which may or may not include risky behaviors. Could you determine for me, from your experience, is there any relation between that and HIV prevalence amongst gay men, or their willingness to go get tested and treatment adherence?
Because of homophobia, and because this happens over and over and over, so it's homophobia, it might be at home, it might be at school, it might be at the office, it might be from your own family, it might be just you hearing it over and over on the radio, seeing things on television, you're walking on the road and somebody yelling at you, making a slur, or people just automatically think that it's okay to treat you bad because they know that you're gay. Those things affect you, and especially when it's over and over and over and over long periods of time, it begins to compound. We see people exhibit what we call in the profession as complex trauma. Now, symptoms to trauma causes a lot of other symptoms, and we kind of know this. So somebody who's been growing up, who has been neglected by their parents for years, they might have unstable attractions to other persons. And so when we talk about somebody wanting to have self-worth, you going into a relationship and somebody says, don't use a condom, you want to connect with them, you want that person to validate your experience because of all the trauma from homophobia that you've experienced. But even more than that, things like self-harm becomes the norm. And so you don't protect yourself. You don't think about protecting yourself. And men on the whole already have poor health-seeking behaviors. Imagine more so if you feel as if you don't deserve it. And so these are the kind of experiences that kind of make people vulnerable to HIV. Now I want to say that not all men feel that way, and some gay men do have positive experiences in families, but we're not talking about those people. Those people are fine, they will be fine. What we're saying is for persons where the trauma of homophobia has significantly impacted their lives, you need to figure out how do you heal from that. You're twice as likely to commit suicide than anybody else. That might be incorrect statistics. You are more likely to commit suicide than other persons. You are more likely to get addicted to substances than other persons. You are more likely to form unhealthy relationships. You are more likely to, And so all we're saying is we need to treat homophobia as the trauma that it is. Okay.
God.
You hear everything, man. You're good. I didn't hear that.
No, because
That's cool, that's
it's
cool.
where your attention is
Yeah, I was
focused.
totally on this.
You are focused on the
Homophobia and
interview.
trauma.
I am focused on
And
everything
sound.
because I have to be, because when you leave here, I am stuck with what I have. So yeah, so
So what are you gonna do?
I see this little graph now. I was just, what is that? And
Then I figured I come
then I see another little wave come up.
That was good, so good. It's
And it was good, you know, it was a good flow, the pace
Yes,
was nice,
and
it
everybody-
was on point. Okay, let's see where we were.
You are more likely to,
Drink.
yeah. And so, what they say is we need to treat homophobia as the trauma that it is. Okay.
I hardly heard anything.
Homophobia as the trauma that it is.
So just land that helicopter there and make a connect to the HIV
Yeah.
compromise
So,
program connected to the
Alright, so we need to continue from the flow. Alright, so listen to it,
yeah.
see where you are, see if we can pick
What
back
they
up.
say is we need to treat homophobia as the trauma that it is.
Alright, and we're going to record again. Alright, Luke Sinnett, take 5.
Yeah.
So you were saying that we need to treat homophobia as the trauma that it is.
Elaborate on that.
You were saying something, Luke.
I
Finish
can't
it.
remember. So just picture that you are a gay man who, oh crap, yeah, I'm really lost. One of the things I think doctors need to be aware of is health for men who have sex with men, and at how it's different from healthcare for heterosexual men or cisgender men, not heterosexuals. So understanding that the same way we might do a pap smear for a female as a natural course, an anal smear is a natural course of a health package for gay men. And so sometimes if you don't appreciate all of the nuances, what you might do is not give somebody full and complete service. And that's, I think that's part of the things that you have to pay attention to as a doctor. Now I want to underscore the point that it is so important that we focus on HIV and on the health of gay men, because they show the highest rates of HIV in this country. And if that is the case, as a public health model, what you do is you isolate where the problem is and you treat with it. What we're doing now is applying some hit and miss model, which it might be some other kind of social model on social media or something, I don't know. But it is so important that we appreciate that this is a health issue and that we have to use best practices in healthcare to address it.
Perfect. Good. Cut.
Yeah.
Using one panacea approach.